All right, so before we'll start our session, let's go over the few topics that I want to talk about. So the first one is a test link. So unfortunately, I didn't find a way to automatically assign you to our project. So you will probably will need to manually ask me to do that after you register. So basically how you did, like how you're doing right now. It's like the only way. For that, do you guys have any questions about the testing? Did you figure out how to find test cases and how to create them? Or are you still kind of confused? Okay, I will take it as a no. So after testing, let's go to our Jira. So probably test case creation takes a lot of time for you because you're basically need to browse their application and see how it is and how it's actually working. Yeah, so how it's basically going, guys, for you? Do you have any questions? Did you separate already, like by your team, like which part of the components, like each of you we're gonna do?
In team two, we decided.
You still deciding?
Yeah.
All right.
We decided to check our test cases just to not do duplicates because we don't have enough time to like split it on a decompose TLT. That's about it.
Okay. All right. So sounds good to me. And so let's go back to our project here. So basically, this repo that you guys all cloned, hopefully by the time, will be our main repository. And so it's kind of like our project, right? And we kind of like in the same, like we all of us in the same team. So I will probably need to add you to this project. So basically, please send me your username in a GitLab, and I will add you as a project member here. Because otherwise, you won't be able to, add test cases, pull the existing functionality. I mean, you can pull it, but you cannot add it and you cannot change it. So it's maybe hard. I mean, you won't be able to basically work on it because our future test cases, they are all like gonna be not the test cases, but our further homework is gonna be like just a PRs for a master, and that's how we're gonna like do code reviews, and that's basically the way how it works in all the companies, because like usually you have one repository for test automation, and you have your team members, and you cannot push your changes directly to the master. You will need to create a branch, commit your changes, and then push it here in GitLab. And in GitLab, you will need to create a pull request and assign your teammate. So I'm gonna show it to you actually how to do that. Let's say previously on a Saturday we wrote some login success test case, right? So like, what if I wanna push it? Like, I mean, it's still like kind of messy. It's not clean, but just for demo purposes, I will show you how to do that. So first of all, let's open the source tree, and let's open the. I hope it's this one. Yeah. So open the project. In a file status section, you will see all your changes that you made. So in my case, it's basically adding a new test case and remove some of the parts from here. All right, so what I will need to do now, I will need to add a commit message. So in your commit message, try to be more clear, like exactly what you are doing. Usually, like in a companies, they have a Jira integrated or a GitLab or a GitHub. So like we currently don't have it right now, but and after it's integrated, you can actually pass as your ticket number. Like let's say, I don't know. I'll take this one. So this is a ticket key, right? You can actually copy that and add it right here. I mean, let's say if you have a ticket that will say, hey, like create a login success test case, right? So you will need to specify the tickets key and add a message like added login success test case. All right, so let me, this is gonna be like a proper way to do that in a company. But right now, because we don't have it integrated yet, let me remove it. And here's one thing. Currently, I am on the master branch, right? I cannot commit and push to the master, so I will need to create separate branch that will be like created from a master. So to do that, I will need to click the branch, sorry. And here I will need to add the new branch name. So for now, it will be, let's say, login success. So, and right now, as you can see, I'm on a login success branch. To verify that, you can do it here, or you can also open an IntelliJ IDE. And in this like a small right button section, it will say that the git equals to login success. So that's mean you're on the login success branch. You can actually also can switch on them like here or here, just select like any branch. All right, so let's go back here and let's commit my changes. Into the commit button. And so it's actually saved these changes, but it's saved locally, right? If I want to push it to the GitLab, I will need to click to push button here. So here it actually says like if like you're created a branch, if it has a remote branch, or if not, it just will leave it empty. Also select the branch that you want to push and click OK button. So previously I had some weird issue with authentication. Most probably I'm gonna get it right now. Yeah, so for some reason Source 3 doesn't like authentication method from the GitLab, and I'm not sure why, but I mean, if you will face the same issue, here's the two things that you can do, right? So basically you need to push your changes, and the first way would be from the IntelliJ IDE. So if you go to the header and you will see this VCS button, after you click here, you will see the Git option here. And in the Git option, you will see the push option, and here it will show you which files you're gonna push. And after clicking to the push, it will do that for you. Yeah, for some reason it works with IntelliJ IDE, and also it works in a terminal. If you want to do it in terminal, let's just open the. Let me do that. Right click here, click open in terminal. So it will open you the terminal in which in this exact folder. And here you can also do like simple git commands, like let's say git status. It will show you like on which branch you are right now, or if you have any changes that you want to commit. And to push that, you will just need to type git push. Yeah, so it says everything up to date. There's nothing to push. Yeah, you can use the terminal. So terminal is kind of like more advanced level because it doesn't have a UI. So like all your information would be all the logs that it will show it to you after you're running the commands. Like source tree is easier because basically you have a UI and you have like all this branch trees, and also you will see all the file changes. And I mean, I personally like source tree more than interacting in a terminal, but you can do that still here. But to push it, you will probably need to use a, I don't know, IntelliJ or a terminal, or I mean, maybe I'll find a way to do that later on. But for now, just use these two methods here. All right, so let's get back to our repo, right? So let's open it and let's go to the branches. And right now you see here's my just pushed branch. It's called login success. So let's open it, and it will basically will still show you kind of the same folder, but it will be like a different version of the product, of the project here. You can also, yeah, let me go back here, and let me click to compare. And here it will show all the difference from the master and from your branch. Like let's say after I added the login success test, it will show like all the lines that I added and all the lines that I deleted. Basically, it should be exactly the same as it's shown on source tree. So okay, let's say I pushed it, right? And what I will need to do next, I will need to click merge request. So merge request is basically PR. It's kind of the same thing. And here you will need to declare your title. So title basically by default is your last commit message. You can leave it as it is, or you can also add like more information here, like added login test cases or something else. Description is optional, but if you want, you can say something here as well. All right, so here is a assign. So you will need to assign at least like one person who will review your pull request. Let's say, okay, let me put to the Dennis as a assigner here. So Dennis will need to review my code before it will be merged to the master. And actually, after reviewing it, he should be able to merge it by himself. So because by default, you cannot merge it to the master, it's actually made for safety reasons. So like no one accidentally will not merge any broken code to production unless it will be reviewed by someone else. All right, so, and submit merge request. And okay, and this merge request will be created right now, and Dennis will get the notification that the merge request is created. And here, yeah, here's basically, you can like edit it, you can like close it if you don't want it anymore. And let's say if you change your mind and don't want to merge this code, or you want to rebuild it or do anything else. And because this merge request is basically reflecting your code on the login success branch, you can like, let's say if Dennis will say like, I don't know, like delete commented out code right here, right? So what I will need to do, I will need to delete it from here. Delete it from here. Let's go to the source tree. So here you will see all the changes that being made. So basically, I just deleted all this like commented out text, and I will need to create like separate commit for it. Let's name it addressed PR request deleted commented out code, and also like if we won't have this authentication issue, you can also click to this checkbox, push changes immediately to basically to the remote repository in a GitLab. So like if you will click this checkbox, it will push it right after it finished to commit it. So you won't be need to push it separately after that. But right now, I'll probably again get this message, and I will need to, I will need, like, let's say in this time, let's use terminal to do that. So I'm here, and let's have git push. Here we go. So it pushed my changes, and let me refresh it. And as you can see here, this is my commit that I just created, and it's all addressed here in PR. And I can actually open it and see what exactly I did. And also, you can open the commits tab here to see like all the commits that are being made. And also, you can go to the changes tab. And here, basically, it will show all the changes that's being made for this PR. And let's say, like, here's the two ways to leave a comment, right? You can actually comment by lines. Like, let's say, let's say here, you can say something like delete, just for example, empty line, and add a comment. All right, and so finally, after you will start review, after you will do review, you will need to either approve it or decline it. If you're declining, not declining it, but if you're requesting changes, you will need to put request changes, and the person won't be able to merge it until you will review his changes and approve it. But what if it's approved, like this button, it will be enabled, and you or person who reviewed your code will be able to merge it right after. And these changes would be on the master. Yeah, it's maybe a little bit confusing for you guys for now, but after you will start to work on it and you will start to do code reviews, it will make more sense for you. And it should be relatively easy because there's like nothing much about the reviewing and creating branches. All right, so do you guys have any questions?
First, if you did code review from me, how can I find out if there is something commented, for example?
You will get, you
can go to the GitLab, or can I see this in my IntelliJ IDEA?
Here's the two things. Like, you won't see it in IntelliJ IDE. You either will get email notification, like someone's reviewed your changes, or you can like manually open the PRs list. It should be some here, some over here. Merge request. Yeah, you can click here and find your PR, and you will see all the comments here. But usually at work, I'm getting all these notifications by email. Make sense?
so sorry, but unfortunately, I lost the sound in my laptop. I guess it makes sense. I will rewatch the video after class. And another question: when you do commit through terminal, how I will be able to add comments through the terminal and then terminal as well, or what is the proper way?
Yeah, if you want to do it in terminal, here's a flag for commit message. Actually, I forgot how it was, but let's Google it. Git commit. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. So yeah, basically you will need to use this flag /m. I mean, it stands for message, and in double quotes, you're just specifying the message for your commit. And that's the way how you're committing, basically.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that's why, I mean, it's up to you. Like, it's kind of like considered if you're like a real pro in programming or like, I don't know, like in a tech, it's kind of like it's kind of like considered to use a terminal all the time. But again, like I personally don't like it. It's just much easier for me add anything for the source tree. Because like it's, I mean, I don't know. I just like when it's visually represented and like I'm not like, you know, doing anything here. All right. All right, guys, let's, you will get to that point once your test cases will be automated and once you will be ready to merge it. But for now, let's actually go to our project, to our, not the place, but Dean's master.now.sh. Have any of you guys, like I know you didn't, like none of you finished test cases yet. I mean, at least I haven't get a ticket ready for UAT. But any of you try to automate anything using Selenium after our class in Saturday? Or did you try to play around a little bit with that? Or at least open the browser and do simple scripts? No one?
Not yet, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that too. All right, that's fine. So here's what I wanted to show you. Like last time I did example on a login function, like how to automate login functionality. But for now, let's try to do for sign up. So basically, this is a sign up, right? So I will need to create separate class because usually tests, they are separated by the components. Let's say like login functionality will be the one component and it will have a separate login class. For sign up, it will also need to have a separate class. Let's name it sign up tests. All right, and so what we will need to have here, we will basically, let me just copy paste for now this login test and import all these libraries that I will need. And all right, so basically for sign up, the first steps will be the same. So you will need to go to the Dean's master, to the main landing page, And here you will need to click next to the login button to sign up. So to get the locator for that, let's go to and inspect it. And here I can see identical locator, but for a sign up. So basically we can, I assume we are safe to use this register locator. Let me actually copy that. And add it here. Because it will be the same thing, right? So it's also href attribute equals to this like a different link, which is a register. So, but it won't be the login button, it will be a sign up button.
Azad, can you please increase the font?
Yes. For some reason, I'm still struggling.
Try to squeeze out fingers on the touchpad.
Squeeze out. Let me. Oops, not this one. View exit presentation. Oh, you're right. It works. Wow. Thank you. I didn't know I can do that. That's nice. All right. Can you guys see now? Is it better? All right. All right. So again, let's back to our code. So right now we are renaming our button variable name. So basically, even if you leave it as a login button, it will still work. But because from the code reading perspective, we will need to identify the sign up button. So it will be like more easier to read your code. All right, so what else? Let me actually click it and see. So right now we have a username field, email field, and a password field. So what I will need to do now, I will need to inspect it. So I assume, yeah, so this field, it has a ID, identification element. So I guess I should be able to say, like, safely use it because it's identification. And as you guys remember, page should have only one ID. So let's go here and let's, actually before I will do that, let me check if email address and password will have the same locator. Yes, so the email has the same locator. It also has ID email. And the password also has the same identification. All right, perfect. So we can reuse it. Actually, question for you guys. As you remember, I said like the page should have only one identification, right? ID for a page. So if I see the same ID for email and username on sign up page and on the login page, would it be considered as a bug? As like a duplicated identification on the page or no?
Definitely yes.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Okay, why do you think it's yes?
Because you cannot definitely locate the particular element with this ID.
More than once, right?
Right.
Yes. But here is the thing, guys. So you see login, it's a login page, right? And it has a login URL. So sign up, it's completely different URL. It has a different page and it has a different URL, right? In this case, because it's two different pages, they can use the same identifications. they can use this. And so this requirements, it's applied only for a single page. But we may have this form for like any other places. And if it's like in a different page itself, so it's fine to use it. Like there's like no conflicts with that. The problem would be only when it will be on the same page. Like let's take a look at this username field, right? So it has a ID username. So if I will try to look for it, all right. So it says I have one username ID, right? Because the pound sign, it stands for ID in CSS. And if I go to login and refresh the page, so here I won't be able to find the username. Yeah, it just doesn't give me the results because it's two different pages, and we will need to work separately on each page. So that's why it's fine, and this regulation only applies to the single page. Does it make sense, guys?
It is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Perfect. So, all right. So in sign up page, we have the same fields, right? We have the same field for email, and we have the same field for a password. So what it means is we can basically reuse, like we don't need to change these lines of codes. So, but we will also need to add username, right? Let's go here and let's rename it first, username. All right. So let's create username as that demo. And because it should be unique email, and if you guys remember that I mentioned in Saturday, if you have like, let's say one email and you want to generate more users, you can simply just use a plus sign and basically type whatever you want. So let's say I already have a plus QA. Let's change it to the QA, I don't know, 2. And the password should be the same. And our login submit button should be different because it's register, right? So how many buttons we have on the page? So for ID, we were looking for the test ID, right? So that's interesting that in the register button, they don't have this custom identification, right? So what we have here, we have a UI form, we have some required fields. Yeah, that we will need to fill in. But for a button itself, it doesn't have like any unique identification, right? I mean, it kind of have a class, but this class is kind of, I mean, it may be unique, but maybe not. So let's see how many buttons we have here. Let me type button. Okay, so it's looking for all the names in the button. Let me be more precise. Let me add the attribute role equal to button. Okay, so what I did here, I use the button element, and this button element, it has the attribute, which is a role, and it's equal to button. So as you can see here, guys, this locator, like, I mean, it's kind of finding it, and it's kind of unique locator on this page. but it seems real like fragile, because let's say if your developers will add any other button here, right? I mean, I don't know what for, but let's say, or you can actually change these links to the buttons as well, right? Because they also look like kind of like buttons. And in this case, like if they will add the button element, and if they will also add the attribute role, that means your locator will not work anymore. So you will need to change it. In this case, it will probably safer to ask your developers to create, I mean, if they don't mind, because it should be really easy for them. Usually just like one line of codes to add, just to add some kind of like custom identification as it was for a login. I mean, if they can, just to add the real ID, but even though like this, like a data test ID should be fine, because we will assume this element is unique. All right, but for now, let's keep this locator. Dun, dun, dun. Let me add it here, and let's actually do it manually, just to see what the success message we will get. Test demo. Test Pro U and the password is the QWERTY. All right, so basically expected results are the same, right? Yeah, the same as on login page, because I am on the main page, on the landing page, and also I see this icon of my profile. So that means that I can reuse. Actually, I cannot find it. Oh, because I deleted. Yes, of course. Let me actually find my backup for it. All right. So this is my backup for the code that I actually removed. And here, let's import assert library. And here's will be our final asserts, right? We will get the URL. We will verify we are on this URL. And we also need to verify the avatar is present, and should be this one. Yeah. So it's the same basically verifications as we wrote on Saturday class, because I mean login and the sign up experience, like final experience, are the same. So we can reuse these assertions and verifications in this case. All right, so we should be good then, and let's try to run this code and to see if it works or not. Oh yeah, actually I need to rename it because it's not login anymore, it's also sign up. Sign up, successful test. So right click on it and click run, sign up, successful test. So what's happening now? It's opening the browser, it's going to the main page. It should click to the sign up button. It's oh, interesting. So it didn't. So probably what's happening here is it started to type very quickly. So and the application wasn't able to handle it. Let me actually. Yeah, and that's why it fails. it fails because it says it cannot find the avatar element on the page, and we can assume it's not because we are still on login. All right, let me try to rerun it again. Yeah, it's not filling out the username. Let's see why. All right, because I forgot to change the selector, right? I'm still kind of looking for the email selector, and that's why it didn't fill it out. Let's find this. I believe it was a username ID, right? If I'm not mistaken. Let's go here. Let's inspect it. And yes, it's a username ID, and we will need to change it here. All right, perfect. So let's close this driver, and let's try third time. All right, so it says our test passed and everything worked well. So let me close this open browsers. And yeah, so our code is working. So my question for you guys, let's say if I will try to run it one more time, what's gonna happen right now?
This user address already exists.
Yes, and that's why if I will run it again, my expected result will be different, right? So it will technically should not go to the main page. It's technically should go like should show me the error that users still exist. Yeah, this email address is already being used. All right, so and we have a problem here, guys, right? So we cannot use static username and we cannot use static email because we want, like, if we will use a static ones, we won't be able to register the user, right? So what do you guys think we can do in this case? How we can avoid this issue in the future?
I think we have some kind of random function, right?
Yeah, random. And what this function is doing?
It come up with some random number, and we can just add it to the email and create different emails.
Okay. So basically, this random, I mean, we can create a random function, let's say, which will create 10 random characters, right? I mean, or even like 20, or even like more, right? It's basically definable in the function. But let's say this case, right? If we will pick any random 10 characters, there's like a small possibility, but still a possibility that it can regenerate the same string twice, right? Because it's randomly picking the characters, and it can like pick in the same way. Does it make sense, guys? So basically, when you're like regenerating the string, you kind of like throwing a dice, and like after like couple tries of throwing the dice, you can get the same number. Like let's say if you have a, let's say you have a full regression switch, right, where you are registering user like all the time before like doing something. And let's say you are keeping in storage all the generated emails, right? And in this case, how can we be sure that it won't regenerate the same email twice?
Maybe we could add some kind of verification. If we already have this email, we can continue random it.
Yeah, but let's say let's say you have a test that you ran a year ago, right? And it generated the same user. And after 1 year, but this user is still stored in a database. And after 1 year, like it's also generated this email, and you won't be able to check it in this case. I mean, you will need to go to the database and run the query to find like all the usernames and compare it, but it's not like proper way to do that. So basically the issue here, like the task here is just, as you guys said, generate like a random string, but we also need to be sure this string wasn't generated before.
Maybe we could add some kind of today date or something like that for it.
Yeah, that's actually a good solution. So like in programming world, if people want to generate random string, right, what they are using is they are using a timestamps, because timestamp, we will never have the same, let's say, day, the same hour, with the same minutes, with the same milliseconds, right? And because time is like counting and it's not going in circles, it's just going in like one way. And if you are generating current timestamp, like it will never be the same. I mean, like in this case, I'm not sure how much time is it. It's like 7:49:52. If I run it now, it will be like 55, and if I run it again, it will be 57. So they will never be the same. I mean, of course, if we will use the same, if we will also use the date and the month and the year, so we will never have this problem. So to do that, I believe I kind of have a code already that I wanted to show you. Let me actually find it. Oh, here we go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so here's basically, here's the library. It's actually called timestamp. Let me post it here. Yeah, so basically this library, it's doing, I mean, this is a class, and within this class, you can also open it. And here you can use like any different methods for any kind of, I mean, if you want to get time, you can just use this one. If you want to set it for some reason, you can do like basically anything you want. But in our case, what we will need to do, we will need to, well, first of all, we will need to initiate it, right? Actually, to generate the new email, let's create a new separate method to do that. Let's call it public string generated that email, and yeah, that should be it. It should not take any parameters. And here, let's use this code snip. So basically here, we are creating a new object from the timestamp class here. And we are sending as a parameter, like as a initial parameters, as a constructor, the current time milliseconds. So basically in the initiation level, it will grab the current time in milliseconds. And after that, let me get my code snippets again.
I'm sorry, Azad, how did you input this line?
I just copy pasted from my code snippet draft because I did like some research how to do that, and yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just like copy paste basically. I mean, I'm gonna explain you right now again how it actually works. All right, so string. All right. What I missed here? Dun, 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 dun. All right, so basically looks like I cannot. So it's returning the different type, I see. Okay, let's try not to convert it to string. Let's try to print this out, right? And see what's gonna print us. All right. Okay, let's come in. Actually, I believe I can. Yeah, let's delete it. And oh yeah, so let's add it to the void. All right, so here's like no more complaints, and here let's call this method to see what's gonna print. And let's comment out the test for now, because all we want to do now is just to see to the print out this generated email. So let's click run. All right, so it prints current milliseconds. There is like kind of a algorithm within this method, so it basically print these numbers based of the current milliseconds time, and we kind of like should be safe to assume it should be unique. All right, so basically, again, how this method is working. So first of all, we are importing the library for a timestamp, and we are initiating the object and naming it as a timestamp. And for that, we are initiating basically new class, and as internal parameters, we are sending the current time in milliseconds, right? And after that, we are printing it, and it's printing the current milliseconds. Does it make sense, guys, or is it still kind of confused about that? All right, so we know that it's actually printing this number, which we again can assume it's a unique one, like it will never be repeated, because like let's say if I will run it again, it will print a different number. And what we can also do, we can call this method multiple times, right, within one run. And let's see what it's gonna print. Oh, interesting. So it's printing the same one. So maybe, yeah, maybe like this one is not, because it's returning only how much? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's only returns 14 number. And in the time when Java is running this program, it's probably sending all like the same milliseconds for all of these methods. So probably like, yeah, that wasn't the best example, but in reality, in a different tests, it should not happen. It should like return, like generate like all the time. Yeah. All right. So let's get back to our method and generate email. So first of all, let's say our initial. So basically, within this method, we should not return the timestamp, right? We should return the generated email that we can use in our test. So what we can do, initiate the new variable, which is the email, and here define the string for the email, and let's name it plus QA at, I don't know, testpro.io. And here, all right, guys, let me do it separate, different way. Let's actually create a separate method for a timestamp. Let's say get timestamp, and in this case, it should return the long value. And let's clear this out. So we still need it. Let's clear this email, and let's type return here. In the scope. Dun. That's interesting. Okay. I'm not sure why it's saying it's defined, because.
Azat, you have a typo in return word.
Oh, yes. You're right. Thank you. Here we go. So it will like, okay, so this method, it will return the timestamp, right? And we can actually, for the email, we don't need all of this. All we need is return string, right? And here we will actually timestamp equal to this method. And here add it here and return email. All right. All right, here we go. And let's delete this one. And here, let's comment back all our tests. All right. So let's, so where's the, so okay, so email will be used here, right? So what we can do, we can define the email here. Email equal to, yeah, string email equal to generated email return function. And right now, like in a find case, instead of like basically hard coding the static email, we can delete that, and we can just define this email. Actually, guys, if you see these variables, like they kind of grayed out, it's basically IntelliJ ID kind of telling you this variable is unused. And after I post it here, you see like it's not grayed out anymore. Like that's identifying we are using this variable here. And all right, so let's actually set the breakpoint and run it. All right, so it's going to the main page. All right, so because I set a breakpoint, it stopped in a phase where it's looking for the passwords, right? And here, as you guys can see, it's using the generated timestamp, and it's adding the plus QA at testpro.io, which is our domain. And if I go to step below, so basically, let me go back here. Basically, we can also find here what the email was, like what the email was generated, just to clarify. And if we want to run it, continue running, we can just click to display button here, and it will finish all the test execution. Yeah, so it looks like we are created generated email, but we also will need to generate a username here. So in this case, we will also probably will need to use this timestamp. Yeah, so basically this is like what was one of the way to generate a timestamp. So in our case, it basically just returned current time in milliseconds and show it is in numbers. I'm pretty sure like there's like another method which will I don't know, like define the year, like 2019, 04, meaning April, and meaning the date, like 9, and also meaning the time like 8, 05, 15, which is kind of like helpful sometimes, because once you will look to all your generated emails, it will you will like see when this email was created, and sometimes it's also helpful. All right, and yeah, so that's basically what I wanted to show today. Do you guys have any questions? Actually, for this get timestamp, I will probably try to find another existing method which will print current date and time in more, I don't know, readable way. So it will be like easy for us to generate timestamps in the emails.
Azad, can you please push this file to the master or to remote?
Yeah, I can. Thank you. Yeah, I will do it right now. So again, getting back to the source tree. So what we have here, we still have a login and a sign up, right? And because this is a new file, it will show you there's like no difference. It will like completely new. And I will need to select both of them, add the message, like added sign up test, and yeah, just commit for now. And I won't be able to push right now, so let me do it through the terminal again. Git push. All right, so it's finished, and here you should be actually able to see it in my opened. Oh, maybe. Let's go here back and let's see the branch here. Actually, I'm curious why it was like you didn't add it. Oh, okay, it's added. All right, so you can, yeah, you can open my PR here, and you can click to the changes, and you will see all these new things that I added today. And also, you can open this you can open this branch that I created, and if you go here, you will see my current version of this project, right? And if you go to SRC tests, and you can like go here, and as you guys can see here, here's already like 2 files, and you can like open it from here and just review all of that without any different messages. All right, so do you guys have any other questions or suggestions? Yeah, so I would say like this code, it's still kind of it's still kind of hard to read because it's kind of, we just like created it on the way, and later on we will do like refactoring, and we will also refactor like all of these methods, and we will create a separate method, you know, like to add I don't know, like to add email, to add password. So we want to use like 3 lines of codes for the adding a password, and eventually we will make it like more nicer. And yeah, we're still kind of in process, and we will finally we'll do it all together. But at least for now, you can still write your assigned test cases the way you can. So we won't like be strict about the code quality in this stage. So all our only acceptance criteria would be just to make sure your tests are working. All the refactoring stuff we will do later on, using like methods, page object pattern, like parameterization, and all of the stuff. All right.
One question.
Uh-huh.
So who should merge our branches, our teammates or you?
In this stage, I would say, so basically, let me open my merge request. So basically, you will need to, like, as an assigner, assign the person who would review your code, right? And this person will need to write a comment here, like, hey, code reviewer passed. But because we're also doing UAT, like additional kind of code review from like me or Dennis, basically me or him will do merge to the master in this stage. But like later on, you will be able to do it by yourself. Either it will be like the person who will do a code review, or it will be you, but only after it will be approved. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, any last questions, guys, before we will finish? All right, I will take it as a no. So that's gonna be it for today. And for you guys, just try to finish these manual test cases. So you will have some kind of basis what you can do automate. And then, yes, let's just try to simple by simple start to automate them, and to start to run this process for contribution and code review. All right, guys, thank you for participating, and I will see you on Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good night, guys.